Three former Memphis police officers were found guilty of witness tampering following the fatal beating of Tyree Nichols after a January 2023 traffic stop. John Yang is here with more.
Now those three officers, Tadarius Bean, Demetrius Haley, and Justice Smith, were convicted of trying to cover up their actions. Haley was also convicted of violating Nichols' civil rights by causing bodily injury, a lesser charge than what he was indicted on. And Bean and Smith were acquitted of civil rights charges. They were among the 5 former officers who fatally punched, kicked, and hit Nichols in 2023 after he ran from a traffic stop. Police body cam and surveillance video of the fatal encounter was shown almost every day of the 3-week trial. After the verdict was read, Tyree Nichols' father said that the family was all elated. He said, "This is justice. It was a long time coming." Now, the 3 also face state murder charges. Thaddeus Johnson teaches criminal justice and criminology at Georgia State University. He's also a former ranking Memphis police officer. Thaddeus, what do you make of this verdict, of sort of this split decision?
Well, it makes sense. And this is what we actually want in our court system, to cater the punishments or the charges for the actual crimes. And so based on the evidence and what the jury, who are more than capable, were able to judge against, they came up with a verdict that everyone didn't violate civil rights, but they did do something that was really illegal, that was a distrust and a breach of trust of the position that they held. And those charges also came.
It's interesting. The defense actually played the tape to show to try to minimize their clients' actions. Where does this fit now in the ongoing conversation about policing and police violence?
You know, that's a very good point. And a couple of things jumped out to me in this whole process. Now, first of all, yes, the officers bear responsibility and blame, but their actions didn't occur in a vacuum. We must think broader about officer wellness, our promotional processes, how we reward officers on the pathway to leadership and specialized units, and even the quality of our officers and their spans of control. I think 2 things really stood out. You know, Mr. Martin noted that he was upset by a lack of arrest and that he may have also struggled with PTSD. Well, these things tell me that our officers need help. They need to be put in positions where they can win. They need to make sure that they have the capability to cope with all the things that they see. And lastly, we can't really have police reform if we still make arrest the number 1 metric. It's a very small part of the job. And what happens is oftentimes we have low public safety value, and we often turn our citizens into commodities when we have these reward structures emphasizing stops and arrests instead of partners in public safety. So those were 2 things that really jumped out that show we have to address these things if we want to have the policing that we deserve as American citizens.
And how easily are those things changed? Does this go back to training?
Oftentimes it goes back to training, but let me say, these officers went beyond the scope of their training. I trained in the Memphis Police Academy. This is not what we were trained to do. We were not trained to use deadly force strikes above the head if it wasn't a deadly force situation. We were not trained not to provide and render aid to our citizens, no matter what the circumstances are. So this is a selection process, and this must in a culture process, whether it's within the broader police department or those subcultures within those specialized units. But again, it's that running and gunning, those metrics that make up a small portion of policing, where like community engagement is not rewarded. If we want our police to engage our citizens in that way, we have to reward them in that way and provide them pathways to promotions and pathways to other specialized units as well. So that's a linchpin to reform if we want to move forward.
Is there a lesson for other departments in this, quickly?
Absolutely. That the federal government, reform is a very local matter, but the federal government will step in and show that we will hold our officers accountable. Murdering someone or abusing someone is one thing, but violating their inalienable civil rights is another, and we have to make sure that they are held accountable across the full spectrum.
Thaddeus Johnson of Georgia State University, thank you very much.
Thank you.